Hello, everyone. Welcome to Literary Gladiators. This is the one and only Charlie. Some of you might be going, "Oh no, not him," and that's fine. I have been busy with work and other obligations. I had a band trip. I was in Alexandria, Virginia with the band, Pipes and Drums. It was my first time. It was the 20th anniversary for us to go down, but also the 48th anniversary, and they make a big deal out of it. So it was a wonderful time, and a big shout out to all of you who are not cringing and think, "Oh, not him again." So, and between work, volunteer work, and all that, I'm back. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm doing something I don't think I've done this before. Top 5 books. I only have 3 of them because one of them I can't even. It's falling apart at the seams, and the other one I had to return because I rented it on Amazon. But I have 3 of them with me here. These are the top 5 books of 2018 that I find to be that have the most value to me. So, on that note, the drumsticks, in case you didn't know that. Let's get started. All right. There's in no particular order. I was gonna try and rank them from my most favorite to but I can't. These books all are number 1 to me, and it's gonna be a pretty much wide variety here. First one, like I said, out of no particular order, and I'm working on them too. But believe it or not, but here's why. This first one I'm going to talk about, Prayers and Devotions, 365 days. He's now a saint, Saint Pope John Paul II. Copyright is 1984. It is 365. It's a devotional. I have clergy in my family, and I think I discussed that earlier. And I've recently took over a position at my church as head usher out of all of them. I used to be just a head usher to children's mass and night masses. Now I've decided that I should help a little bit more, and they decided that it would be a good thing to have a head usher for all of the masses. So, yes, I'm Catholic, in case you haven't figured that one out yet. But this book here the devotions, and some of them are prayers. They only last about a full page, and that's what it's meant for. Right now we just had Hanukkah, so for all of you who celebrate Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, I hope you had a blessed Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Yuletide. We're coming into Christmas here, so it starts for what's called a liturgical year in November, but I started December 1st because I'm an idiot and I forgot. And it's a really, really uplifting book, and you read one passage a day. That's the thing. But I've already read about 15 of them, 16 of them, and it's basically a pep talk every day. Like, treat the way you treat. I'm not a public speaker. Treat those the way you want to be treated, and there's a lesson you would learn, and there's also prayers in there. So this book is very, very good. I find it to be it's also helped me become a bit of a better person. I'm on day 3 without Snapple, and already the shadow people are attacking me. So I read this, and it helps me. And again, it's meant for those who have a busy schedule, and those who do, who like to sleep. I'll admit I like to sleep, and eat. But it's also good for those who want a quick pep talk every day. He is now a saint, for those of you who do not know that, and I find this to be very, very good and meaningful. I'm going to put that over here. Hope I don't drop it. On the topic of religion here, this other book is Life of Christ, by Fulton J. Sheen. He was the Archbishop of Newark, I believe, and the copyright on this book here is 1958, so I had the two mixed up. So, long story cut short, this book is 62 chapters. I'm currently working on chapter 27. I lost my $20 bookmark. Oops. Yeah, I'm on chapter 27. I read the first 3 chapters in one night. And some of the chapters are very, very short, only 3 or 4 pages. Some can be 24 pages. And I read at least 2 or 3 chapters a night when I can. A little background about Fulton Sheen. He's now known as Venerable because Fulton J. Sheen. He was Venerable Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen. That's his official title. He's deceased of course, 1979. Back in the early 50s, late 50s, and even going all the way up, he had a TV show, and I forgot the name of the TV show, but you can catch it on YouTube. Just type in Fulton J. Sheen, it'll pop up. He's also has a PhD, so he's very, very well educated, and also he had the sense of humor that. This is also during a time when we had the communism, and people were still living in fear of, what's going on, and is someone's going to, I don't want to go too far on that, but he would make some jokes and about that, and everything was fine, but he would also, at the same token, he would have it was filmed in, I don't know how they did it. They filmed it. He had a little chalkboard he would write on for certain points. It was in some of the the videos, and it was filmed in front of a live audience too. That's the thing. It was filmed not in just a studio. It was filmed in front of a live audience, and they almost like a library, kind of like what we're in now, Josh's library, which is terrific, by the way. Look, to cut short, he would have the utmost seriousness, and then spin around and make a joke about the Brooklyn Dodgers or something like that. I know nothing about sports, but I think he was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, so he would make a joke about that. He would make a taxi cab driver joke. And this was during the time where my aunt she just took her vows. Actually, a few years after she took her vows, my mother and their sisters, she would always say he had this cape, and he was always flexing the cape and doing this, but that was his authority, shall we say, because he was an archbishop. So, hope you're proud of me, Aunt Joan. I hope I get a cookie later. But no, still. Great book. It actually takes, like I said, 62 chapters, well worth it. I'm trying to read at least 2 to 3 chapters a night. I actually fell asleep one night with a book like this. I'm not joking. My glasses were half off. And this also helps me become a better person. Helps me understand what life was like, not only for Jesus Christ, but also what other people were going through at that time. So again, very good book. Very, very well written. Now for a lighter side of myself. Now this is when most of you who know me go like, oh no. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. This book brings out my childhood again. And a lot of books do, but Thomas the Tank Engine is my main man. And this book here, Josh was actually, he has 2 of these. He gave me one. As I think it was a birthday gift, and I honestly, we'll just say I almost had to go change, alright? I was beyond astounded when he gave me this book, and I still, to this day, I love it. I love it very much, and I want to go to sleep with it tonight, and read it to my drum set. This is a great book. It has all of the older versions. I think this is all. It has obviously it's got the map. I think I spoke about this book earlier in an individual video here, but that's the map of the island of Sodor. I don't know how well you can see that or not. So, good luck with that. And again, this book here, and it has a table of contents here. It's actually the reference where certain things are. So that's really cool about that. And you can see here, it's just, attention to detail is perfect. I don't know how well you can see all this. So, just kudos to the Rev. W. Audrey. Thank you, because without Thomas the Tank Engine, I probably would not be the person I am today. Honestly, I can say that. I mean, I still would have drums, of course, but this book has most, if not all of the greatest stories in there. The one that's not in here, which I was hoping it would be, but that's okay. It's All at Sea. That's one of my most favorite episode of Thomas the Tank Engine. All at Sea, because it's just, you just have to watch it. It's amazing. But all of these are too. But that one is the one that really takes my heart and says, I grew up with Thomas the Tank Engine, as most of us probably here did. And I also played some Fortnite. Just kidding. Terrible joke. Now, I think we had a pretty good childhood. And this is a great book also to, as I said in earlier videos, for kids to learn lessons from. Because that's what Thomas the Tank Engine was about. Learning lessons and life lessons. You know, don't be a bully. Don't be this. Be kind to others, or you'll get coal dumped all over you. And actually, that happened to me once before. It's not fun. You know, you can actually see here Gordon, the big proud engine. He falls down a ditch. That's not very proud, is it? He gets stuck on a turntable. I mean, come on. And that, to me, that's classic vaudeville sticks. But I personally found this book to be of great value to my mini library. My library is a bookcase, unfortunately. I know, but I don't have room for a library. But I still have some of the old paperback books of Thomas the Tank Engine, and maybe they had 3 or 4 stories in them. The little read to me, the little golden books. Don't sell them. Don't sell them. Sell your house before you sell that, okay? This book has, I don't know how many, I read through it again and again and again. I think it has about 30, 40. Hold on. It's got the Irish Sea in here too, which is really cool. But again, here's where one of the engines crashes into a barbershop. His name is Duck. He's a great Western engine, always bragging about that. And he crashes into a barbershop. And this was in the earlier episodes where you have the one engine who is new, a diesel, and he was brand new. And diesels were frowned upon because these are all steam engines, tank engines. And back in that era, when the diesels came out, the tank engines and steam engines were slowly they were slowly being decommissioned. I guess that's the nicest way to put it. Because diesel, they can last. They didn't use coal. They use fuel, which in a way it can be considered cleaner. I'd rather be using fuel than coal, but then again, it's just as bad the way you look at it. And diesels, they were stronger. They were able to pull more cars, trucks and whatnot. But in this world, the diesels were the bad guys, and they smell bad too. Because I spent some time with diesel trains as a kid. You know, I would go to these parks, and there was this diesel train there, and it was really, really smelly. Oh my God! I almost wanted to just lift my leg and say, "Here, let me finish you off." On that note, the other books that so again, terrific book. If you have kids, read it to them. If you're a teacher or work in the schools, I work in the library system, and I wish I could implement this a little bit more, but you know, some of the kids today are into the Fortnite, and some of them, kids are growing up way too quickly. And I know people say that throughout the generations. Oh, my son, he just got his license. You know, hey, it happens. But we grow up too fast, I think. Truly, I think a lot of us grow up too fast. And it's good to hold on to your inner child, because I do that too. I mean, you'll never see me going, I want a cookie right now. You won't ever see me do that. And even if the camera's not on, I will not do that. You'll probably hear me talk about wanting a cookie 24/7, but, you know, it's good to have your inner child. And that's all I can say about that. Anyway, we're going to move on to my 4th book. Don't worry, there's only 5 of them, so hang on there. This other book, these 2 books I don't have with me. One I had to return because I don't want to pay $300 for a book that was already used, and no, so I rented it. And of course, I want to do a little quick shout out. Thank you to those at Amazon. Those Amazon workers are the best, because even though most of them have subpar, if not all of them, have subpar working conditions, as a consumer, I want to say thank you very much, because you always help me out and I only used Amazon, 4 times, not even 3. Back to what I was saying. Thank you so very much for working there, and I'm sure there's at least one person who works at Amazon, part-time, full-time, whatnot, who's watching this now and is probably saying, "It's my job, kid. It's my job, fat ass." So again, thank you very much. And to those who do deliveries, for those who get those packages, and if you ever get it from hand to hand, just say, just as maybe offer them a water bottle if it's the summertime, which I'm sure a lot of us do here. Go that extra mile for them too, because they help get what we need, and that's also for FedEx and whatnot, UPS. So thank you to all of you. These other books I wanted to talk about. One book, again, like I said, I had to return it, and I spoke about this one earlier. It was actually a college level, not really college. Well, yeah, you could say that. It was a law book, Ethics and Law for a Paralegal. Now, I am not a paralegal. I am a senior library assistant. I took a course online course at one of New Jersey, Rutgers University. Went to Rutgers online. They're called continuing education classes, and all colleges and universities have these types of courses for either adult learners or people who have to continue their education, like doctors, lawyers. People who basically, if you're paying a lot of money to see someone to do a business for you, that's because they're still learning. I've actually had a doctor's appointment back when I was very little cancel last minute, and this was a doctor who had a no cancellation policy, but he had to go to a continuing education class somewhere at a college, whatnot, and because that's part of their job, and it's expanded over the past 40 over the past so many years, because sometimes you can just go to the night class but whatnot. This I found to be great. These classes to be terrific. Really, you don't need any prior experience, but you just got to do the work. You email it to the professor. My professor was in Miami. Okay, he's living a good life. I took the course, got an A, and the credits count, because if I want to apply toward a second degree or even a master's degree, I can use some of those continuing education credits. That some of them could be used for a course or whatnot. They have each school is different. I took the class, got an A, and whatnot. I wanted to know more about law and how some ethics about certain laws in landmark cases, and it really actually didn't go into that as much as I hoped it would. It was really meant for paralegals, and paralegals are different than lawyers. Paralegals, they can practice law, but they need absolute close supervision. A paralegal basically is, if you will, an assistant to a lawyer. Does all the typing, answers the phones. I mean, that's also a secretary's job, yes, but a paralegal can also do, and of course has to go to school, get the training, but I don't think in certain states, I don't think a paralegal has to go to law school, but they would prefer somebody who has either a 4-year college degree, a bachelor's degree, and it may be in that area, just to prove that they can do substantial work. And again, every state, everything is very particular and minute, detailed. Everything is very different from one jurisdiction to the other. So this was just general, and entry level too. I should just say it was entry level. But some of the chapters were, how does a law office work? How does a law firm work? Fees attorneys can use. Funds, advertising, solicitation. I don't have a speech impediment, I promise. Back, for example, I'll give you a quick example. Back in the early 20th century, when lawyers were you know, when we had the bootlegging going on and we had a lot of other crime, that we didn't have computers that we can catch a person in 2 days now. Back then it took a lot more time. So I think shortcuts were taken here and there. Like, let's bypass that little thing there and catch this guy, and then nab, and then, you know, because lawyers can only charge a certain amount. They can't, and even though they charge so much, it has to be within a reasonable amount. Reasonable. Thankfully, I've never needed a lawyer, but some lawyers can charge up to $5,000 for a visit, and the call alone could be $50, $75 call for advice. And some of them they'll do it for free and say, yeah, but you know, this call would be a $100 call because they pay so much for their education. And paralegals, they can, as long as they can do what's called cross-examination, they can do that too. But they need to have, the lawyer needs to be present. So, again, that's not in all states, I don't believe. So, basically it spoke about the ethics of how a law business, how a law organization, take 3, how a law firm runs, how they can go about doing their paperwork, things like that. How lawyers can't really accept gifts. Like, you know, if you make that paperwork go away, that makes me look better, I'll pay you another $10,000 from the share. They can't do that. They can't ethically do that. So, but then again, you have lawyers who have abused their power, and that's why that handbook was written. So, again, it's not for everybody, but it was a good book, and I think it was the 6th edition. It was a very good book. I did an individual video on that a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Check it out. You'll like it, because I have the book with me. And the other book is also a second book. This book, it was an old book, but it was like an old case, what they call a case book, and it was just falling apart when I got it. So thankfully it was only $3, but it would have been, I think, $300. Again, thank you, Amazon. I took a second course about property, and this book didn't really have the questions at the end of a chapter, but it had certain hypotheticals, like what would you do in this case, what would happen in this case, and how would I would justify it. So I had to make some of the questions up myself, and the professor, again in Miami, said no problem. That's a good book anyway. The name of the book was, the title was just Property, and the writers were all, I couldn't even make out the names. That's how, I think they're all German. So it was a concise handbook, and when they say concise, it was about this thick. So to a law student, this is concise. There were about 13 chapters about personal property, real estate, landlord-tenant relationship, things about like that. There's just some of the few chapters. I don't offhand. I don't know. Remember the rest of them. If somebody was asking me for some advice, I could legally say, well, you know, you can do that, but I mean, I did the work. I did get the certificate. I don't plan to go to law school anytime soon, because A, I'm poorer than dirt. Actually, dirt is rich compared to me. So, nice shirt though. No. Great book, very good. I would give it about an 8. If I had to rate that book, I would give it an 8 out of a 10, because it didn't really go into, didn't give you any review questions to practice. Just only a few cases. So, housing law, stuff like that, you know, well, what's fair, and again, great book, but when I got it, you know, I had it, and after about 2 or 3 times of usage, it just started to fall apart. So may the book rest in peace, or pieces. Bad joke. Anyway, again, for those of you that are still watching, and I want to say thank you. This is my 2018 most favorite books. I've read other books, but these are the top 5 I could figure out, put together off the top of my head. So we talked about a little bit about religion, we talked a little bit about law, and Thomas the Tank Engine. So on that note, I wish you all a very happy, blessed holiday season. Remember, It's the holidays. Some people may not have certain things, so I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. Offer that person a extra meal, offer that person, another water bottle or something like that. Other than that, I wish you all a happy holiday season, and I hope to see you in the new year. All right? This has been another episode of Literary Gladiators. As Josh would say, keep reading. And as I would chime in and say, and keep eating and drumming. All right? So long.